Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. We're going to give everyone a couple minutes to join and are going to get started at 2 past the hour. All right, we're going to get started. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today for our webinar, Drive Revenue with Effective Sales Analytics. You're going to be hearing from Looker and Fivetran on how to drive effective revenue.
Hey, Lauren, could you actually take over the presentation? My computer's frozen right now.
Yeah, no problem. Sorry, everyone. One moment.
Hi, everyone. Work from home issues. Could we go back one slide, please?
Yes, one
Oh,
moment.
wait. I see it now. Okay, my computer is unfrozen. Thank you, everyone, for bearing with us. And Lauren, sorry, could you make yourself presenter and walk us through the slides, please? So just in case I freeze again, we should be good to go.
Yeah, no problem. Here we go. I'm gonna make myself the presenter. All right. So the voice that you just heard is our Fivetran's very own Brandon Chen. He's gonna a star product marketer at Fivetran, so he's gonna be talking from our side. We're also gonna be hearing from Bruce Sandell, a senior sales engineer for alliances at Looker. So without further ado, Brandon, I'll pass it over to you to begin speaking.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Lauren, and thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We're really excited to talk about how Fivetran and Looker combined can help you realize the potential of your disparate tools and understand what's happening with your sales team. So when we think about sales analytics, we're thinking about how effectively, how can we drive more revenue for the business? Every time I'm thinking about sales analytics, I think of it as one of the most focused analytics because you can actually see like what's happening with every single step of the sales, every single tie between sales and how that directly impacts the business. And when we think about sales analytics, we think about the funnel as well. We think about how often our sales reps interacting with the prospects and how can we shorten that time down so that we can realize revenue quicker, more efficiently. We're trying to figure out in our sales data how often or how we can expand the motions that we're doing and how we can identify more areas and more opportunities for growth, utilizing our past history of success as well as past history of failures to understand where we won and where we lost key deals and why we won those deals and or lost those deals. And ultimately, at the end of the day, there's a human resource component to this. So we want to understand how individuals are performing, why our highest performing individuals are that way, and how we can effectively pass those learnings on to others to make the whole team more efficient based on our actual sales motions. And ultimately, we also need to understand where will the business be in the future. Part of this will rely on our sales reps actually going to Salesforce, maintaining good hygiene. But another part of it is making sure that we have the data structure available, the data infrastructure to accurately predict and forecast in the future so that We can share either with the business's external stakeholders, what's happening with the business, or do things such as go out and raise a round of funding for your Series C, let's say. But all of these sales analytics goals don't come without their fair share of challenges. With this latest report from Sales Analytics from Gartner, 52% of our heads of sales of operations or sales analytics are reporting that there's just incomplete data to work with. There's a lot of data spread around these tools, and a further 58% talk about how the output analytics is hard to interpret, perhaps because of the way that the data engineers have set up pipelines, made it a little harder for analytics to get at, and just the general confusion that we've seen among our customers before Fivetran and Looker are implemented, where people don't quite know where to get the accurate source of truth. So what ends up happening is that they end up devolving into a sort of like hodgepodge of stitched together Excel sheets, or a kind of he said, she said kind of situation where we're trying to figure out, spending time just trying to figure out how to actually come up with a centralized data place for everyone to look at. And then when we're thinking about traditional methods to centralize data, these are some of the most common ones that we come across. The first one is that manual spreadsheet that I had referenced before. And this may involve let's say a query from a production database that holds your sales data, or maybe an exported report, and then just stitching these things together through copy and paste, let's say, and then running Excel functions to understand what's happening. But as we know, like that creates the silo of your data. That Excel sheet lives wholly on your account or maybe Microsoft Cloud. The fact is that you need to share that Excel sheet, and each brand new Excel sheet becomes a brand new place for somebody to go have to find and remember that thing exists. We may also have federated queries where for your databases that are hosting these kinds of systems, you might just be running queries directly against source systems. But the general challenge here is setting up that sort of federated query system to begin with that is actually connected to all of your different and various source systems. And there's also the traditional method of ETL, first created, talked about back in the 1970s, developing specialized scripts to do extracts from various applications that you might have with the goal of bringing all of that into a centralized analytics workplace. But the challenge here is data engineer expertise, not just for the initial build, but also for maintaining this as your sources go through frequent changes. And one very common example is, let's say, custom fields in Salesforce. The Salesforce admins are adding them in at the sales team's requests, and we now need to figure out how to, if you're using the traditional ETL script way, how to go ahead and go back and revamp those scripts to fit your needs. And enter Fivetran. These are three of our main tenets for how the product works. The first one being automation. With all of our connectors, the way that they work is through a simple setup. Typically, it will be OAuth for web applications, or require some quick connection details for, let's say, something like a transactional database, whether on-prem or on cloud. But at the end of the day, we have 150 plus native connectors that are built with specified setup for each of those data sources in mind, with pre-filled or pre-described entity relationship diagrams for many of these applications where an underlying schema doesn't already exist. In the case where an underlying schema exists and is clearly defined, like let's say Salesforce, we have the ability to automatically bring over and import all of that data, as well as keep it updated throughout ongoing changes. And our architecture is resilient as well. So if you've ever had, like, let's say an API outage, let's say there's too many things contending for that Salesforce API, so some of your integration might get shut down. With Fivetran, that wouldn't be an issue, because with Fivetran, we're constantly saving the state of the sync so that we can pick up from where we left off and maintain that high degree of data integrity that's needed for you all to build trust in your insights. And finally, Fivetran is cloud native, or as sometimes we like to say, fully managed, because we all know that APIs change, schemas change. The part of the product is built to address some of those things like schema change, but there's definitely human component, human aspect to it as well. Like Salesforce will release their API notes every quarter or so, and our engineers are constantly monitoring and checking and proactively working with those source companies to be aware of any code changes that are required, any API deprecations or enhancements or modifications needed to make sure that your data integrations continue to work. This is a quick architecture diagram of what it might look like for your sales analytics. Some of the different sources here might be unique to your specific business. but some key ones are outlined here where, let's say your database might be getting key transactional data from your website, but you might be using something like, or you might be using something like Shopify to handle those online transactions. Or all your transactions might be hosted in a traditional CRM like a Salesforce. And there's also the case where you might have disparate CSVs that still exist, maybe from partners that have sent you over some referrals that you need to still get into your warehouse so you can know whether or not to maintain those partnerships. And Fivetran in the middle, we've stylized this as our core and our writer servers, groups of servers. What we'll do is automatically batch the API calls or the database queries, ingest that raw data, normalize it in a way that makes sense for your data warehouse and is compatible for your specific data warehouse. And from there, we can also orchestrate downstream transformations and modeling that's needed before it lands into Looker, where you can then run your downstream reports. And Fivetran helps automate a lot of this. So the end goal, the real goal, is really just to eliminate the cumbersome data integration projects, achieve your SLAs time and time again, and be able to connect more data, be able to think back to those heads of sales operations or heads of sales analytics who say that they don't have all the data that they need more, they need it to be reliable, because internal stakeholders are relying on this data to accurately portray what's happening with the company and make better decisions. Here's an example of some connectors that we have that are available to help with sales analytics, but by no means is this our entire list. Our entire list can be found on our website at fivetran.com/connectors. And there comes with the search bar to see if we have a pre-built, fully natively supported connector for your sales analytics needs. And we also just wanted to share here this case study with one of our happy customers, MyParcel. So with MyParcel, they spent a lot of time just on Salesforce pipeline maintenance. Talking to them was literally multiple weeks of work just to add in, like, let's say a new field or add in a new object, because the team that was managing this had other priorities too. In addition to Salesforce, they had to manage other integrations across the company. So when MyParcel thought about this, thought about how much work it was taking and how much time delay there was for adding in new fields or fixing broken pipelines, they wanted to pick Fivetran as their tool to easily manage themselves without having to create a bottleneck in the pipeline creation and maintenance. And with that, I'll hand it over to Bruce. And Bruce, I can continue to click through for you as well.
All right.
I need to take control, actually.
Yes.
Yeah,
and just before we hand it over to Bruce, we did want to share out a quick poll just to get an idea of how confident everybody is in their ability to pull actionable sales insights today. So on a scale from 1 to 5, how confident are all of you in your company's ability to pull actual sales insights right now? So your options are: number 1, I'm super confident. I'm just here to hear from Brandon and Bruce. Number 2, pretty confident, but it could be better. Number 2, somewhat confident. It would take some time to analyze. Number 4, we have insights, but they take a long time to pull. Number 5, I have no idea what our sales team is doing. So I'll give everybody a few minutes to answer this poll while we pass it over to Bruce. All right, Bruce, and looks like you have control now, so go ahead and take it away.
All right. All right, hopefully everybody's able to see my screen now. So I'd like to start out by giving you just a brief overview of Looker. We describe, sorry. All right, sorry about that. So we describe Looker as a platform that delivers actionable business insights to employees at the point of decision. And hopefully by the time we get to the end of this and the end of the demo, it'll be a little bit more clear what that means. So organizations that work with Looker find three primary benefits. The first is that it makes your data teams more agile. There's a single simplified system that results in faster response to change. Data teams can create automated, repeatable processes, allowing them to focus on new initiatives faster. Next, data teams are more efficient. Analysts save time by providing self-service experiences for users and are able to collaborate easily with other analysts. Their focus can change from maintenance to improving business outcomes. They shift from managing infrastructure to delivering new insights. And finally, governance and control of data is simplified when the systems are centralized. There's a single source of truth for metrics, and data remains in a single repository. So rapid access to data and agility aren't sacrificed with this improved governance. Looker is built to be different. It's a different modern way to do analytics, and it's based on a few key areas where Looker has focused our technology. First, Looker has an in-database architecture. This means that no data needs to be extracted or moved from the database or a warehouse before analysis. Looker supports more than 50 unique database dialects, so whichever database you choose, Looker can leverage it. And Looker can take advantage of native database functionalities such as machine learning tools, data permissions, and any other advanced functionality that your database provides. Second is Looker's powerful semantic data modeling layer, also known as LookML, which saves analysts a lot of time. Analysts model data and define metrics in a single unified way to keep the whole organization in sync. And developing models, metrics, and new ways to use data is highly collaborative, reduces unnecessary repetition of work, and is Git integrated. So model changes can be controlled, audited, and distributed among departments and analysts. And third, Looker is cloud native and extendable. It's fully web-based. With Looker, you get full API support, so you can connect to third-party systems and either other analytics tools if you need to. And Looker can be deployed on the cloud of your choice. It's open and interoperable, and that is a core architectural tenet of Looker. So just to build on the diagram that Brandon showed you earlier, once Fivetran has helped you to centralize your data, then you can use Looker to accomplish all of your data-related tasks, which we bucketed into 4 categories. First is modern BI, which is dashboards and reporting and ad hoc exploration for all of your internal analytics needs. Next are integrated insights, and this is bringing data from Looker into the tools that people are already using, like CRM, customer support, and chat applications. Next is data-driven workflows, and we'll see an example of that in the demo coming up. And that involves sending data to third-party tools to automate workflows, like sending an audience from Looker to a marketing automation tool or a curated set of data to a machine learning tool for doing predictive analytics with. And finally are custom applications, using the data from Looker to power your own analytics experience, either through embedding Looker visualizations directly or leveraging our API to power your own completely custom data applications. So when you're ready to start working with new data sources in Looker, there's a good chance that you'll be able to take advantage of Looker blocks. A Looker block is a pre-built LookML model along with pre-built dashboards, all created for you by subject matter experts. There's Looker blocks for lots of common data sources, including many of your favorite SaaS applications. Looker has over 100 different blocks available, enabling you to greatly reduce your time to value with new data sets and allowing you to start gaining insights from the data in minutes rather than days or weeks. Besides blocks for common data sources, you'll also find blocks for common analytics patterns, like cohort analysis, affinity analysis, and funnel analysis. We have lots of blocks for Fivetran connectors. This is just an example of some of the blocks that can be used for sales and financial analysis, but we partner on several other blocks, including Jira and Zendesk. Centralizing the data from these disparate systems opens up all kinds of opportunities for analytics that would be much more challenging with the data siloed in their source systems. And I'll show you an example of that at the end of the demo. So today we're going to be taking a look at the Fivetran Looker Block for Salesforce. And the block includes a number of pre-built dashboards that can be used for analyzing your sales pipeline and sales reps. So we're going to start out by taking a look at how quick it is to get this block set up. So the first thing that we need to do within Looker before working with any data set is create a database connection. Looker uses JDBC to access all of the databases that we connect to. So it's pretty simple to get set up. We're just going to give our connection a name. We're going to specify what type of database we're going to be connecting to. As I mentioned, Looker connects to over 50 different databases. We're going to specify the BigQuery project and data set, and then supply a credentials file. And that's all we need to get going. So next, within Looker, we will go to the marketplace, which is just this icon up here at the top. And we will search the marketplace for our Salesforce block. So here's the Salesforce Analytics by Looker with Fivetran. Gives you a little bit of an overview of what's included in the block and how to use it. And then all we have to do to get going with it is hit the install button. And it's going to take a second to prepare the installation. And then it's going to ask us a couple questions. So these are the permissions that you need within Looker to be able to use this block. So we'll go ahead and accept this. Yes, I already have my Salesforce data in Looker. And I've already synced this data as well. So now all I need to do is specify the name of the connection that I created to access this and hit install. And just that quickly, we have our new Salesforce Analytics Looker block installed. So what this block includes are 4 new dashboards, as well as 3 explorers. And explorers are data groupings for users to do their own self-service analytics with. So as you can see, users can do their own self-service analytics on data about opportunities, accounts, or contacts. So let's take a look at some of these dashboards that are included in the block. The first one is the sales overview. And this is just going to give you sort of a comprehensive view of your company's performance in the current quarter. And it's going to highlight like closed won opportunities, other key metrics such as total bookings. And we'll just take a look through here. We can see our bookings by state. And as you're working with Looker dashboards, pretty much anything that you see that you're interested in, you can click on to get more information about it. So if I was curious about what my quarter-to-date sales were in Colorado, I can just click on Colorado, see that I have $173,000 worth of accounts closed. And if I wanted to get even further information on that, I could click on this 173,000 to drill in and see more detail about that. Some more closed details by opportunity type, booking by lead source, and then just a list of the opportunities that we've won so far this quarter. So we can see for our list of top 5 managers that Jessica Crow is our manager that's had the best quarter so far. And if we are interested in getting more information about Jessica and her team, we could just click on Jessica's name, and this would give us a link out to Looker's manager overview dashboard. So because Looker's entirely web-based, it makes it really easy to link out to any other web-based content. So that could be other Looker dashboards, that could be company Facebook pages or home pages. So let's go ahead and take a look at some more information about Jessica Crow and her team. So this is the manager overview dashboard, and it shows us a little bit about the pipeline her team has created, total bookings, opportunities won. If we are interested in getting more information on those opportunities that have been won this quarter, we can just click on that aggregated number and get down to the line item level detail of what all those opportunities are that have been won so far this quarter. As I mentioned, it's easy to link out to any other sort of web-based content. So in this case, you can see the ellipses next to this opportunity ID, and that indicates that there's other actions that we can take here. So in this case, we're using Looker actions, which allow you to interact with other third-party systems directly from within dashboards. So we could update this Salesforce opportunity directly from within Looker. So this is just going to bring us a page that's going to allow us to update the sales stage, add some next step notes, or add a next step date as well to go along with those notes. Additionally, if we wanted to go straight to Salesforce to view this opportunity, we could do that as well. So as we scroll down and look at a little bit more of the information that's provided on this manager overview, we can see our cumulative bookings by rep, average days to close by rep, their opportunities won, kind of a matrix of all of our open opportunities so we can see their value, how long they've been open, and then just a list of our open opportunities and rep performance for this past quarter. So if Jessica was interested in seeing more information about one of her individual sales reps, she could use this rep performance dashboard. So here we can see for one of her reps, Kyle Schenker, how he's performing this quarter. It looks like he's having a little trouble with his pipeline, but otherwise doing well. Here is a chart showing all of quarter to date bookings. So the blue lines indicate the bookings, and the red area chart is the running total of bookings so far this quarter. Some highlights of the biggest wins for this sales rep, open opportunities they have, win percentage by deal size, and then some information on closed won opportunities. This is also where end users can come to do some of their own data exploration. So, if you're looking at anything that you see in a dashboard and you want to do a little bit more work with it or drill in to find out additional information, all you have to do is click on the title of the dashboard tile. And this is going to take you into Looker's Explore section. And this is the section where users are going to come to do all of their own self-service data exploration, slicing and dicing of data. This is also the section of the product where all of the visualizations that we've seen on all the dashboards we've looked at so far have been created. So let's say that rather than looking at this data based on the customer stage, I'm more interested on the days to how long these opportunities have been open. So I'm going to look at the fields that I have available over here in my field picker. And the field picker is really the result of all of the work that your data analysts have done with the LookML model. So these are all of the fields that your end users have available to work with for doing their data exploration. It's going to contain all of the dimensions and measures that they can select from, including the values that are specific to your business. And so if you want to see the average amount won or pipeline amount, these are already pre-calculated by your data analyst. So when a user is interested in working with that data, all they have to do is come in and point and click to add it to their reports. They don't have to understand how the data how that value is calculated. It's already defined for them. So you get rid of the problem of having two people walk into a meeting, with reports that have different values because they use different calculations. So everybody is sharing the same calculations, and it's all coming from the same single source of truth as well. So I'm going to update this, and instead of looking at it, as I said, by opportunity stage name, I'm going to look at it in this tiered days to open. So I've grouped this into some categories. So to add it to my report, all I have to do is click on it, and then I'm going to go ahead and remove this stage name and run this report. And I'll go ahead and sort this by days to open. So I can see that for my sales rep, Kyle Shanker, that the majority of his opportunities are in the 200 to 299 day open range. So if this is something that I want to monitor, I want to work with him to get these opportunities closed a little bit quicker. Now that I've created this new visualization, there's a lot of things that I can do with it. So if I click on this gear icon, I can see some of the choices that I have. I can save this as a look, which is Looker terminology for a standalone report. I can save it to a newer existing dashboard, download the data, or I can save and schedule this and have it sent to me on a regular basis. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to call this Post here for Kyle. And when I save new content, I have the opportunity to save it either in a shared area where other users can access it, or if it's something that I'm creating just for myself or to work in process, I can create it to my own personal space, which is what I'll do here. So I'm going to go ahead and save this look, and it's going to take us into Looker's scheduling interface. And gives a second to load. So we can see that we can send this to email, but Looker also comes with 24 or so other pre-built integrations with other third-party tools. So as I had mentioned earlier, you could send this off to a marketing application to initiate a new campaign. You could send it off to a machine learning tool to do predictive analytics with. So lots of options, and all of these are built on a really easy to use open source framework. So if you don't see the integration that you're interested in, it's really easy to create your own. So I could go ahead and schedule this to be sent to myself, the format that I wanted in, and have it sent, every day, every week, however often I would like to receive it. All right, so let's take a quick look at the last dashboard that's provided, and this is just a pipeline overview that shows you for the quarter. Right now, we're looking at company-wide pipeline, and we can filter this if we want, either by sales rep or manager. And as I had mentioned earlier, one of the great advantages of bringing this data in and centralizing the data is we can combine this data with other Fivetran connectors and other Looker blocks to bring that data in and give us sort of a comprehensive 360 overview of our customer. So what we're looking at here is a dashboard that combines data from NetSuite, Salesforce, Zendesk, and then some usage metrics from a fictional business intelligence company. So you can see that we've got some finance-related metrics, some sales metrics, customer service metrics, all combined into a single view for users. So a great benefit of using Looker blocks and a Fivetran connectors is being able to get this unified view of your data centralized in one place. All right, and so next we're going to move on to Q&A.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Bruce. So we have a couple questions that have come in here for both Bruce and Brandon. The first one that has come in is for Brandon over at Fivetran. this person wants to know how Fivetran pricing works.
Yeah, good question. With Fivetran pricing, the way that our pricing model works is based on the rows synced, and not just the rows synced, but how many active rows are synced. And the way that we describe active rows are based on what row gets updated. So whether a row gets updated once or it gets updated a million times, we're still only counting that as one active row. And our pricing tiers can be found on fivetran.com/pricing. And from there, you can identify what tier features you need to support your use case.
Awesome. Thank you, Brandon. And then we have a question that's come in here for Bruce. It says, how easy is Looker to implement? And does one need to know SQL in order to interact with the Looker platform?
All right, good questions. So the first one, how easy is Looker to implement? That's a kind of a broad question because it depends a lot on your use case. But in general, the implementation of Looker is not too difficult. During the POC process, you're going to work with your sales team at Looker, and they're actually going to fully build out a use case for you so that you can see exactly how to work with Looker, how to build out your LookML model. And then as far as needing to know SQL, the data analysts will need to know SQL because they'll use SQL for some of the work that they'll do in the LookML model. But once that work is done by the data analyst, the end users themselves don't need to know any SQL at all. They'll use the work that the data analysts have done, and as they're clicking on things in the background, Looker is building SQL queries for them that are going to go out directly to the database and get them the freshest version of that data that's available.
Awesome. Thank you, Bruce. Brandon, we've got another question that's come in here for you on Fivetran. It is, on which cloud is Fivetran built on? Is it Azure, AWS, GCP?
Yeah, good question. We run a multi-cloud architecture as it stands today, but we'll opportunistically leverage a cloud that makes the most sense for your destination. So if, let's say, you're using Snowflake on Amazon, then we would leverage AWS.
Awesome. Then we do have another question come in here for Bruce, just about implementation of the block. Is there a team that helps out with implementation of Looker blocks?
If you have questions on the block and how to implement it, your Looker sales team is the first place to start. For the most part, the blocks are really easy to work with. As you saw, it's pretty quick to just find the block that you're interested in, click on it, set a few parameters, and install it. But if you run into any issues, your sales team can help you. And if it's something that they can't handle, then we have a whole marketplace team behind those blocks as well.
Awesome. And we've got one more question for each of you. And then just to remind all the attendees on the call, as marketed, we are going to give one lucky attendee that has engaged a $200 gift card. So as a reminder, that will be announced after we finish the Q&A. So one more question for Brandon. I think I heard that Fivetran does ELT instead of ETL. What is the difference between the two?
Yeah, good question. With ETL, the typical standard workflow is to create a customized script, pre-transform the data before it gets in the warehouse. And many more people are moving towards ELT today, which is what Fivetran supports, which loads all of the data available from the various sources so that you can run the transformations either in the warehouse or in your data visualization tool. And from there, the benefit of that is that you have all of the data continuously updated to the warehouse so that you have that same centralized repository for everyone to look at and pull from.
Awesome. And last question here for Bruce. Is Looker's modeling language LookML easy to pick up? What are some advantages of using it?
Oh, thanks. That's one of my favorite questions. Yes, the LookML is really easy to pick up if you have familiarity with SQL, because LookML is really just an abstraction of SQL. And typically once data analysts start working with LookML, they really love it because it takes care of a lot of the issues that are common to SQL. One of them is reusability, for sure. SQL is not really the most reusable language. So if you define a metric in LookML, then you can create other metrics that build off of it. And if at some point you want to change the way that metric is defined, you change it in one place, and that change cascades to everything else that references it. So, rather than having to go back and manually update 50 reports that all reference that same value, you do it all in one place. So that's a big benefit. A couple other benefits to it. First of all, is that it's Git integrated, so that when you are working on a LookML model, you're only working on your own branch. You're not interfering with anything that anyone else is doing. You're not interfering with production users. Once your work is all done and thoroughly tested, then you can push it to production for other end users to work with.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Bruce. For everyone else that did not get to get your questions answered, we'll be sending out answers to all your questions along with a recording of the webinar after this is concluded. If you have any specific questions for Brandon or Bruce, you can see their emails up on the screen. And as I said before, I'll be sending an email to our lucky $200 gift card winner, something just to help with some of your holiday shopping. And thank you so much for being with us. And we would love if you would just, let us know before you left. Did you get everything you were hoping to out of this webinar? Of course, we would love a yes, but obviously if you still have some questions, we are absolutely happy to answer them. Or if this content wasn't relevant, just let us know. So thank you so much, everyone, for being with us, and we will follow up with you after the webinar.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you.